Welcome to the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy Podcast, where business meets purpose, growth feels good, and results meet enjoyment. Hosted by Katherine Breuss, CEO and founder of AG45, this show is built on 30 years of hands-on experience across 4 countries, 3 businesses, and 1 incredible life raising 4 children. Katherine brings a rare whole-person perspective to business, strategy, and leadership. This podcast is for business owners ready to stop spinning, start aligning, and build a business that delivers real value while creating a life that actually feels like yours. At the end of the day, you are the engine behind it all. And when you're clear and aligned, everything moves with purpose. It starts with you. Let's dive in.
Welcome, Leighann Lovely, to the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy Podcast. It is so great to have you on here. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
I'm excited to be here too, Katherine. And I was about to say, I'm excited to have you on my podcast.
No.
I'm thrilled to be here and talk with you.
You have a great podcast, one of which I've been on, and that is Love Your Sales, correct?
Yes.
Yep. So before we get into the great, juicy questions of soul aligned strategy and your business, why don't you tell or share with the audience a little bit about you and your business?
I would love to. Yes, I am Leighann Lovely, owner of Love Your Sales. That has been, a journey, quite the journey over the last 2.5 years since it started. Today, I will say that what we specialize in is really sales and sales strategies. And that comes with a, CRM solution that is really powerful, a powerful tool in order to get you focused on what matters. And I like to say revenue generating tasks, because when it comes to sales, that's what you need to be focused on. So we work with businesses to help create a clear path to revenue generating tasks in the sales realm.
Nice. I love it. And I can vouch for your services because AG45 has worked with Love Your Sales. So I want to do big hats off to you and your company.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
In terms of soul aligned strategy, and the way that we see it at AG45 is that whether you're soul aligned if you are receiving the results and enjoying the journey. And so what we find is that many business owners are getting one or the other, or they might not be getting either, or not high enough in terms of rating. And in my view, I kind of sit and go, man, we got one life that we know of, so let's make it count. So let's figure out how we can combine both. So when you think about a soul-aligned business, what does that mean to you?
It's such a loaded question, yet simple at the same time, right? Because the first time, obviously you and I have, a relationship beyond just this podcast. And the first time that you had said that, the first thought that came into my heart was heart. Following what my heart tells me is important to me, not only in my business, but also in my home life, and having those two come together. And I had kind of a breakdown not too long ago, realizing that those two things were not coming together. A comment from my daughter, which was a slap in the face of, oh, mommy doesn't have friends, she has clients, was quite an right? I know, quite an eye-opener when you go, wow, do I work too much? Do I work, too hard? Am I too focused? Am I not present? What does that mean? So for me, it's really about going back to the reason I started my business. I wanted the freedom to work when and where I wanted. And yet I was working way more, way harder, and way more stressed out. And that just doesn't make sense. That is completely not the reason why I started my business, because it kind of got so soul aligned. Taking my values, my passions, my love of what I do, and being able to implement that into my business, and then have that translate to my clients, and actually having them love sales again, having them love what they see happening in their business through the systems and the processes that I'm putting in place for them, and then having that translate into direct revenue.
It's
I mean,
awesome.
right. I remember the first time I made, like, the first sale I made, and I was like, oh my, like, oh my gosh, like, I can write my own ticket. Like, if I just do this the right way, and nobody taught me how to do sales. I was just kind of like thrown to the wolves. Like, here you go. You wanted to be a salesperson. Like, yep, I did. Well, I shouldn't say nobody taught me. I grew up in a sales family, but
I was going to say, you told me that
I,
you learned from your father, like you were.
yes, I grew up in a sales family, but when real world experience, like, nobody taught me how to cold call. Nobody taught me, the actual process. I learned, early on how to network, and how to, from my dad, and from, my mom, and from just sitting around the dinner table listening to them talk about the real estate world, and I watched them do the hustle thing, so.
The hustle. So what do you, okay, so you you saw misalignment in
Yes.
terms of what your heart was telling you in terms of what you want, who you are, and how you're running your business. And there was a significant impact on you.
It's funny. Even people in my network, a lot of people in my network were like, "Yeah, I would love to bring you on as a client, coaches." And one in particular who really focuses on women's health. Should have been like a major red flag, right? She's like, I'd really love to bring you on as a client. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then I'd find myself, in a ball crying. It's like, I think there's some misalignment here. Um, and sometimes the most obvious thing isn't obvious to you until it is.
And and we're laughing, and it's not, when you're going through it, it does not feel very funny. I've been
No.
there. I think most people have been there at least once in their life, if not many times.
And those who are not entrepreneurs, that are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, again, I'm not going to discourage you or encourage you in any way, shape, or form. That's your own decision to make. But so many people are like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know all the warnings. Oh, yeah, I know it's hard. Yeah. Nobody could possibly have explained the roller coaster of emotions that you go through. Of one day you're like, I'm on top of the world, and the next day you're like, oh my God, I'm failing everybody. And it's just that back and forth. But there are significant moments that I can go back to and go, this is the beginning of when I hit this last low. That was like, I mean, I was ready to say, I'm done. Like, I'm shutting the doors. I'm walking away. I'm going into corporate. I'm done. And let me tell you, going into corporate, it would have been really, really difficult. But it's,
We love you, corporate, but it is a different animal.
I don't know that corporate has ever I don't know that corporate likes me. I'm one of those people who speaks my mind and says what I think when I think it, and that's not good politics in the corporate world.
Oh, yes, it is a completely different animal. I love this whole thing of that you said, is that when things are great, you got your ups, and then things are down, you got your downs, and I hear this so much with not only business owners, I mean, with just human beings. And here's the thing, when we talk about soul aligned, it's really having that strong base, that strong core. And that strong core is you as the business owner. And it's internally found. And when that internal strength and understanding is awakened or recognized, whatever's hitting you from the outside doesn't seem to have that roller coaster effect. And this is what I call like true alignment. It's not to say you're not going to have the tough times. It just doesn't necessarily feel as roller coaster and going down that, oh my God.
Well, and just being in your orbit, Katherine, has created that questioning in me of what can I do better? Just seeing how you go through your process of thinking about things and identifying different things and seeing things differently has made me start to really think through. And I'm not one of those people who makes decisions. Like, I don't sit on things for months at a time or weeks at a time. Like, when I make a decision, I make a decision, I stick with that decision. And then if at some point we need to pivot, we pivot, right? And that's just the way that my brain works. Um, and watching you and seeing you strategically think through things and then make those decisions and solid decisions, not, off the cuff, like, oh, we're going to do this, or we're going to do solid. This is the path we're going to follow. We're going to follow it until we see results, and then pivot. And then, that really has, well, one, having a strong, successful woman figure to see in your, orbit, in your, that has really impacted my ability to just have confidence again in where I'm at. And so I mean, I can't say enough about that and where I'm at because of that. You've had a huge impact on my journey as well, just from that standpoint of watching you and, how you've done things.
Well, it's interesting. And first of all, thank you for that. And it's been great being in your orbit as well. And, I make decisions quickly sometimes when I'm really aligned. So the thing is when we are really soul aligned, when we know who we are at the core and know what we want, we have a better decision-making power because we know what is going to align with us and also that when. So with that, in terms of now, you saying that you are getting more aligned to your business. What are you doing now differently than what you were doing when you were misaligned?
I'm finding more clarity in, it's not that, no, it is. I'm finding more clarity in who I am and what I need to be for my family. What I need, really, it comes down to my daughter. She's 7 years old. I look at her and again, the comment that she made to me not only shook me, it hurt me to the core. I was sitting in the car, my husband was driving, and again, she's 7. She has no idea. When she was in the back, she was goofing around and she was playing a game where she was pretending to be me. She was pretending to be her father, and she goes, "I'm Leighann," and she was then pretending to say things that she thought that I would say. And I was in the front seat, and tears started streaming down my face because I realized, wow, this is what my daughter thinks of me. And I mean, I got really quiet because I didn't want to I didn't want her to realize that I was crying. You never want to hurt your child's feelings for expressing themselves on what they, um, from that point, I realized this is how she perceives me. And that was just, my God, so that is where I'm getting true clarity in what I need to be for her. And it feels more and more, the more I realize that, the more I'm okay with giving myself grace in what I do at work. If I have to, I used to feel horrible if I had to stop working and go take care of my daughter, because I was like, oh yeah, but my clients are going to suffer and this is going to suffer. And then I felt like I was being pulled in two different directions. But the reality is that if my family and my daughter are not okay, then nothing is okay, because I am doing this work for my family. And I think I've had that so confused. Maybe in my head, not so much in my heart. But I need my heart and my head to align. And once those two things finally come together and I realize that this is the entire reason I started my job, is that I had the freedom to be with my family and be there when my daughter needs me. All of the sudden, some of the pressure that I put on myself of thinking, oh, if I go and have to pick up my daughter from school, or if I have to do this, it's okay. Like, that's the reason I'm doing this. And if I tell a client, or if I tell somebody like, I'm really sorry that I didn't get to that today because I had a personal thing come up with my child. If they tell me to go F myself, well, then I don't want them as a client. And I'm okay with that now. I would have been okay with it back then. I just put the pressure on myself to think that maybe they wouldn't have been okay with it. And that's on me. That's me not having clarity and understanding of the reason I originally started to do this. And now it's just got to be a discipline of not falling back into where I was. And now getting that to be a muscle memory of what comes first, where's the priority, and then keeping that importance of what I truly want to get out of this for me and my family. And I think once that's all really organized in my head and my heart, everything else will come naturally. And it's strange because the minute I stepped back and said, because my business was and I haven't even really announced to the world that my business has completely changed. I haven't even updated my website but as soon as I decided I'm dropping all of these services, I'm going to completely step back from other areas of things that I was offering and downsize. I had more work. I had more work on my plate than I had before, but less overhead, less responsibility.
And to that point, and, there's a couple, you said some really great stuff here. And two things came to my mind. You are definitely moving towards clarity. And one, I would even want to challenge you in a friendly way of even reaching a bit further in and understanding who you are. So without the business, without the family, without anything external, who are you? What is really important to you? Because when people do that and you really connect and align with that, those areas in your life, such as your daughter and your family and your business, the areas in your life that are important to you, it's easy. You know what to choose. It's not something that necessarily has to be a habit. And what's so interesting as well is when you said when you dropped, so you're moving towards more alignment for sure. I can see it as well. But when you drop those other services and started to become more aligned, if you got more work on your plate and less overhead, and I'm guessing probably more enjoyment in terms of what you're doing.
Yes.
That is what happens when we're aligned, because we do start to attract the people who want to work with us. We start to attract how we want to work. And it's not, now, I'm by no means am I sitting here saying like you just become aligned and then you go, come and work. You're gonna the money is gonna just flow. I mean, no, obviously there's stuff that we have to do, but it's the first step, and it's the first step towards real results, but also in sustainable results. So that I really want to make that clear, as well as enjoying the journey. And with that, in terms of, my last question to you would be, now that you've got this more of a flow and alignment with your business, how well do you understand the value of the business and what is needed?
Yeah. That'll be the next step. So I actually just had dinner with my best friend who is an accountant. And I actually told her this. I said, I am a complete and total mess when it comes to knowing what's going in, what's coming out, what should be going into my pocket, what should be going to the government. I said, I want to hire you to just monthly do my books. And she's like, yeah, I can do that. And she's like, it's perfect because I'm looking for another client. And I'm like, great. Will you give me the best friend discount? But as far as that is the next thing that I need to really clamp down and get hyper specific on. Okay, now we figured out all the things we've done wrong. And not wrong. I'm not one of those people who regret. This journey has been, it's been really fun at times. It's been, like I've said, extremely hard at some times. It's been, the amount of people across the globe that I have had the honor and privilege of meeting, I wouldn't take any moment of it back. But now it is time to really get serious and say, okay, what does all of these numbers, what does all of this look like? What can I put a value on this business? And is this business just me as basically kind of becoming a contractor under a business name? Or is this a sustainable business that could, in fact, scale and grow beyond me? And what do I want that to look like?
Yeah. That's key right there.
Right. Do I want it, because 6 months ago, I was on the okay, let's grow and scale. Let's continue to add on. And then I went, I don't want to do that.
But to that point, and this is what I say, when people say, I want to grow, and when we talk about accelerate growth, it doesn't necessarily mean bigger. So it's more about the quality. So I've known businesses, they've grown, their revenue is, a couple million now, or even more than that. But when they look at their profit and what they're taking home, they're actually taking home less and or the same, but their workload has gone up exponentially, and their business isn't worth anything at the end anyway in terms of a sell. So it's about being really strategic, not only with your business, but first with you. Right. And then it's that marriage, it's that aligning the two and ensuring that they fit and that you're not going to get divorced from it.
And that's what happened, is that I went through a massive growth period where I brought on a lot of contractors. We brought on a lot of work. But that quickly, I was concerned about the quality and my name being attached to it. And I couldn't oversee everything that was happening at every moment. And I was getting scared, and I'm like, okay, but the quality here, now understand that the contractors that I had, they were amazing. But they were not seniored contractors. They were not 100% like, okay, you can take this project on, do it 100% on your own. There was still oversight that needed to happen. And that's where I got sucked into the, wait a second, why am I working 80 hours a week, making the same amount that I was before? In fact, less, because now I'm working 3 times more. And it's like, this doesn't balance out. Like, this isn't making any sense. And 3 times more stressed out. So grow,
what's the
yes,
value in that?
exactly. And if you were to say, could somebody come in and step in and be you so that you can go on vacation? The answer would have been, no. Nobody would want to. Be like, nope, day 1, sorry, peace out. I'm not doing this. So
What if there was any piece of advice, along the soul line strategy that you would give to other business owners, what would that be?
ooh,
Besides working with AG45? No.
right. Well, I mean, my gosh, just the amount that I mean, just, okay. Just from knowing you, you've helped me. But first, the biggest mistake that I made is not listening to, I guess, the red flags that were going off in my head along the journey. And they were there. There were red flags in me saying, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do this. So my greatest advice is listen to those who are highly respected, vetted people in your network that are willing to offer advice when it comes to personal advice that they have experienced. Often when they're willing to offer personal advice about what they've gone through of, hey, don't let this overtake your life. Make sure you spend, time taking a vacation or time off. Give yourself grace. Listen to that stuff. Working more and working harder is not the answer. Working smarter is truly the answer, because that is going to follow more in line, typically, with what you want, typically with the reason you started your business. And I just stopped listening.
Can I also add, you said that you had red flags going off internally. So it's not only listening to outside.
Listen to your own. My gosh.
Listen to your own, because we do have our own internal wisdom when we are open enough to hear it. And I love that you said that you had red flags going off that you just ignored.
I have a tendency to.
We all do. Oh my God. You know my history. So I had it for 30 years, a red flag going off.
Don't jump in that water. I think there's an alligator. There's no alligator. There's no alligators around. No, I'm serious. Don't jump in that water. I'm going to jump in the water.
Yeah. Well, Leighann, thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. I really appreciate you sharing and actually being vulnerable enough to share this with me and also everyone else who's listening, because I guarantee you are not alone.
Thank you so much for having me, Katherine. It's been an awesome talk. And yeah, I appreciate you and everything that you and your business does.
Thank you, Leighann.
Thanks for joining us on the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy podcast. If you're ready to align your soul with your business, take back your time, and grow with intention, we'd love to connect. Visit accelerategrowth45.com to schedule a call, apply to be a guest, or take the next step toward building a soul-aligned business. At AG45, we believe when business meets value, wealth meets legacy, and time meets freedom, the journey becomes truly enjoyable. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep building your legacy.